Hi, morning. Can you hear us clearly now?
Yeah, hi, good morning. I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. We were wondering what is it that your strategy is in this market? Time to buy yet?
So I think what we have seen in last 5, 6 months after a steep correction, what we call it in last, because stock-wise, there's a lot of been correction rather than the indices. So I think after 3 good years, I think market is showing some kind of, cool off or maybe a base which is getting it created before it takes off. So my sense is now what we saw in last couple of years was, I think, broader base rally, which and everything was moving on. So now what we believe is, I think, it will be a stock picking which will come into the front seat, and I think a lot of stocks will do well from here. And with this correction, we have seen a lot of stocks come back to a very good reasonable valuations. So my sense, I think, again, one, I think sectors what do we like is, I think, is financials, I think, which is that sector has done quite well. So my sense, I think we will come back, and I think a lot of stocks looks attractive from the current levels. And I think the broader base, if you look at the data has been improving. So just to give you a perspective, Q2 versus Q3 was better. Now I think Q4 would be better. What we are expecting. So I think when things have cooled off, if you look at the biggest gainer, I think the crude prices, which has cooled off, and I think inflation below sub 4, RBI's interventions, what we've seen. So I think all these things are just getting a base for our markets to move up. And as I said, it will be a stock pickers and the stock specific rather than the entire markets rallying into it.
Uh, are you a big fan of this IT versus bank trade? Money is moving out of IT, moving into banks.
Sorry?
Do you think there is merit in this IT versus bank trade? Money is moving out of IT into banks.
I agree that money has been moving up from IT into banks, and I think what we saw also in 3, 4 quarters, I think exactly 4 quarters where we saw the IT stocks performing, and last year at the same time, I think we saw that IT stocks moving up, and I think same thing what we've seen is now we've seen the correction in the IT stocks, and the money is moving into the financials. And I think a lot of large cap IT names, I think we have seen a muted growth and maybe nothing much in last 2, 3 quarters. So I think that correction which was due in the large cap IT names, which is happening. So I think large cap will still underperform in IT names versus the mid caps for some time.
Rahul, wondering whether you think now, especially after RBI's notification on IndusInd Bank stating that the bank is well capitalized and that financials remain satisfactory, you think the selling could get undone, or would you still say that it's in a void right now?
So I think it's more about a sentiment. I think I believe that selling could get stopped or maybe at sometimes delayed. Maybe people will wait for a Q4 number, which is around the clock. In the next 15 days, you'll see a quarterly updates and post that the numbers maybe a week later or 10 days more. So I think agreed that I think there could be the stock could uh, become a sideways from here till the time the numbers comes up.
And I'm just scanning through some gainers and losers, and hardly anything which can really be called as very, very exciting. Uh, Rahul, now it's very clear that for IndusInd Bank, there is no need to panic if you have a deposit. Now, deposit is the lifeline, which is that if you have deposits, there would be no run on the bank and the bank remains solvent. The return ratios which RBI monitors, they are also looking encouraging. So if the bank is going to be in business, is it a stock where you would say that I would look beyond the recent turbulence, I will take a 2 year view and say I would buy it?
So I think, Nikunj, what has happened is whenever such things have happened, the stocks have become sideways for some time. We've seen such kind of setups earlier also. So there's no worries about that. Depositors definitely have no worries to worry about it that the bank sits on a run or something. Very well capitalized. So it's just the stock prices correction does not mean there's a run on the bank. So, and I think we've seen by and large couple of times that stocks correcting it and underperforming it. So I feel that if you have a horizon for 2, 3 years, so then one should look at it. But I think versus that you have a lot of other options right now in the markets. So I think I would rather wait for a quarter, how the management's this quarter's numbers, and then I would take a call on the bank.
Okay, that's that on IndusInd Bank. Don't be in a rush to take your investment call on IndusInd. Of course, what you're seeing right now is a sentimental knee-jerk reaction on IndusInd Bank. Tata Motors,
All could be that start buying crude derivatives. I mean, we think that, okay, when crude goes down, buy paint companies, but what about buying aviation stocks? What about start buying Pidilite? What about start buying HPCL, BPCL? I mean, these are the larger benefit, some of the biggest beneficiaries when it comes to decline in crude.
I agree with you. I think whenever we have seen this kind of whenever there's a sell-off, we see all this in terms of the crude prices cooling off. I think all this stock starts moving in under momentum. But I think we cannot go wrong in terms of the OMCs, the kind of valuation which they are trading right now. I think stocks like say, paints and Asian Paints, which is down 33% in last 12 months, if you look at it, the valuation looks interesting at this point of time. So if somebody wants just a quick trade, then yes, I think Indigo for aviation, HPBP, and an Asian Paint. All these 3-4 makes good sense to trade in some points, maybe for a quarter or so.
Naresh, what's
But yeah, this is a regulated business. It is not a FMCG company or a bank, or it is not an IT company where if there is a talent which comes from private sector, he can change the business. I mean, if you are running a bank, you can change the risk profile. If you are running a consumer company, you can change the brand. If you are running an IT company, you can change your customer base and technology. HPCL is ultimately a regulated company or regulated sector. Oil prices are not going to be decided by an individual, it will be decided by a formula. Expansion would be a function of what the board decides. And C, the GRMs are a function of what the global trend is. So I don't know, I mean, if markets react on this news, I think it's an exit rather than a chase. What's your sense? You can disagree with me, it's okay.
No, I think 2-3 things from this perspective. One is obviously what you mentioned is absolutely right. That's why the stock trades at such a cheap valuations if you look at it. I think it's not just a month or so, but for quite some time stock has been trading at this time. The only 2-3 triggers, what I believe is I think that the compensation package which government has announced, and if it comes in this quarter, so then that will add around, I think, 25-26 rupees into their book value. And I think rest, obviously, we know that crude is down and it's trading at lower valuations and the expansion, so on and on. So I think I doubt maybe there could be a upside because of just an MD coming into a private sector, as I completely agree. So just for trading, as I mentioned, for a quarter or so, if somebody wants to play contra on the crude, then I think this is the stock I think one should look at it.
Right, okay. Hold on to that thought, Rahul. At least going by the Nifty implied open, that it's going to be a 130 point up in the green kind of day. But sectorally, Rahul, would you say, again, as consensus goes, stay long banks?
I agree. I think consensus is that stay long on banks and I think select NBFCs, and I think those stocks have been showing good trend of strength. For example, private sector banks, the large private sector banks has been leading the rally. HDFC, ICICI, Kotak, all of the three of them are leading the rally. And in NBFC space, I think consumer finance like Bajaj Finance leading and are just trading towards 52-week high. So I think NBFC, again, I think should be a good trade, Bajaj Finance, and then followed by Chola. So all top 5 large names which I mentioned, I think one should look at buying them.
Great to have you on the show. Thank you for your time as always. Just looking at a bunch of other stocks which are going to be in focus. And
if you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.